Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. This is Jacob Loafman with another editing tutorial video for you. And today we're going to go over the new elemental presets through us at Looks Like Film. These presets are designed to be simple, not a lot of adjustment going on, and I'm going to go through all that with you. But want to note two things. First, if you've already purchased these and you're having trouble installing them or you want to see how to install them, just go down to the description below and you'll see a link there for installation instructions. And number two, these presets are aimed from everyone from beginner all the way up to pros and everyone in between. So these aren't targeted at anyone specifically. These are just very simple presets that are beautiful and all have their own look to them. So with that said, I'm just going to go through some images from the community here, and you'll see their names come up for whose photo it is while I'm editing it. And I'm going to do my best to go through each preset on a handful of these photos here. So let's start with this one. This is the cover image you probably noticed in the start of the video. The first thing I like to do with any photo is I like to get the white balance and exposure set first. So usually I just take the eyedropper tool and I find a nice shade of gray and just see where that puts it. That's a little too much on the magenta side. That's pretty good there, and I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. So that's a good starting point for me. And then I'm just going to up the exposure just a hair there, and that looks pretty good. So here's the first one. This is Cobalt. It's definitely got a warm touch to it. Just a little bit of a film stock fadey look, but nothing too wild. Here's the before, here's the after. So you can see, very simple. I would be totally happy with delivering this photo. I don't need to make any adjustments to that at all. Here's Zinc. It's got a bit more split toning to it. I believe there's some little bit of blue greens in the highlights here. You can see in the split toning panel down here. So if you ever want to adjust split toning, you obviously have the highlights panel here and then the shadows below that. I'll just reset it back to where it's at. And then we've got Cadmium. That's also got a nice, this just has a nice soft glow to it to me, with some nice red hues in there, where it's a little warm, but it's not too orangey warm, which I love. Then we've got Copper, which has some really nice reds in the shadows. And this one, like with any photo, you can make your own adjustments. So with this, I would probably just adjust the white balance a bit, and I would bring down the highlights just a hair. And then tint is always going to be a key player. White balance is so important with any presets that you use. This is going to be your go-to to get the look that you want for any photo you take. White balance is absolutely essential. So that looks good with that. So I'll just go back to the white balance that I already had it set at. There we go. That's good. Now we'll take a look at Tungsten, which has some cooler hues to it. Some nice greens and blues. You can see it's very even. It's not too contrasty. It's just got a little bit of fade to it. It's nothing wild. So here's the before on that. Yeah, it just adds a nice little look to it. So this one, I could even warm it up a little bit if I wanted to. Again, just playing with that white balance. And yeah, bring down the highlights a bit. That looks good to me. So I'll go back to the white balance where it was at. There we go. Now we'll take a quick look at aluminum. So this is a bit more flat, a bit more lower contrast, which personally that's my go-to look. I love lower contrast. And this is just very nice. So this I would just warm up maybe just a tick. And that looks awesome to me. And now we have gold, which has a bit more fade to it and some deeper blacks. So it's a bit more contrasty, but still just has a nice softness to it. I just brought down the highlights just a little bit there. And yeah, that looks awesome. So you can see all these adjustments I'm making are 10 to 15 seconds if I make any at all. And now we've got the black and whites. This, I would just bring down the exposure. You can see the carbon is just a nice black and white preset. Iridium's got some nice warm tones to it, which is pretty popular right now for good reason. A lot of old film shot on large format had this tinge to it, even some tin type. And yeah, it's just a beautiful look for the right situations. Then we've got selenium, which is just a nice, even kind of medium contrast, black and white. So that looks great. Let's go to the next photo here. This one, I won't have to adjust the white balance too much. Sometimes I'll do auto to see where it puts it. And yeah, that looks a bit, I'm just going to warm it up just a little less than where they had it. Yeah, that looks good. So this is where, for this photo, I'm just going to kind of go through and see what, ignore the, excuse me, my gosh, frog in my throat. Ignore my silly Lightroom where it lists 2 of the cobalts and 2 of the cadmiums. I have no idea what that's about. As you can see here, cobalt. Now, this photo already, the raw image is just next to some beautiful, what I'm assuming is window light. So you have a nice even exposure between the shadows and the highlights. And the skin tones are just absolutely gorgeous. So really, any of these presets are going to look pretty awesome. So I usually just scroll through kind of quick. And this would all depend on what kind of look I would be going for this whole session. I love this because it's a bit, it's not too contrasty. I would maybe bring down the highlights just a little bit. And if I wanted to, I could warm it up. And that's just got kind of a nice fashion look to it. Like you see in a lot of magazines where it's all about the lighting rather than the editing. So that's another reason why I love these presets, because you don't have to go far as soon as you click them. You don't have to go in and make a bunch of personal adjustments if you don't want to. So that is just absolutely beautiful right there. And then if I wanted a nice black and white, oh, carbon looks absolutely awesome on that. Again, I would just bring down the highlights just a little bit, maybe even the exposure. Yeah, can full screen that, and that just looks absolutely awesome. Let's go to the next photo here. Some stickers or glitter on the face. This is an awesome photo by Victoria Andrews. Oh, and I apologize. The last photo was by Ore Adesina. So this photo by Victoria. And sorry, I just have to go back to the first photo now. This one's by Emily Carr, who's been a longtime member of the community. All right, back to the Victoria photo here. And the white balance already looks pretty good, so I'll just do the auto. If you ever want a shortcut for auto, I forget what it is on PC, but on Mac, you just hold down Command Shift and U, and that'll do auto white balance. So you can see it's kind of cooling it off there. I actually like it a bit more warm. And I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit. So that looks good to me. And again, I'm just going to go through. I may bring up the exposure just a little bit to where her skin here, where the light's hitting, where it doesn't blow out all the way. Then I can get a good preview. Ooh, that looks really good. So I just think Zinc looks awesome there. I'd be totally happy with that one-click edit right there. I brought down the white balance toward the cool side just a little bit, not too much, and that one click is totally good for me. I would not really do anything else with that, to be honest. And that's the beautiful thing about these presets, is they are very simple and very well done, to where you won't have to do a lot of adjusting, which is always a plus because it saves us all time. So that was edited with the Zinc preset, photo by Victoria Andrews. Now let's go on to this awesome photo by Kayla Ruiz. And this, I'm not going to mess with too much, actually. I'll see where auto white balance goes. I do it go more toward the magenta, obviously against a green background. So I'm just going to warm it up just a little bit. I forget where as shot was at. Yeah, so I warmed it up just a little bit. And yeah, again, I'm just going to go through the thumbnails here. Ooh, and I love this one. The tungsten looks really nice on that. So does the gold. I'm going to go with the tungsten here. I'm just going to do a quick lens correction on that. There we go. And I'm just going to bring down the highlights here a little bit. And I may go back to the white balance and bring it more toward the green side. Yeah, and that just looks awesome to me. You can always add contrast and make adjustments if you want to. I wouldn't make too many. I might bring down the blacks just a little bit. Yeah, that looks really nice. I'm actually going to cool off the white balance a little bit here. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks great. A lovely photo by Kayla Ruiz. Thank you for that. Here's a photo by Aga Andrews. This one, again, I'm just going to do auto white balance, see where it throws us. I knew it'd go toward the cool side. I'm just going to cool it off a little bit. The skin already looks pretty close. That looks good to me. Yep. So now again, I'm just going to go through, see which one of these quick edits would look best. Oh, I love the gold on this. You can see the gold, the vibrancy slider is down. And it just gives, like, to me, it just gives this nice kind of cinematic kind of look. Like this could be, I don't know, like a promo for a Netflix series or something. So on this one, I'm just going to bring down the highlights just a little bit. And that is just really great. Do a lens correction just to see if it brightens it up a little too much. What's cool about that, though, is the old radial filter. We can do a quick fix on that. Reset this here. I'm just going to do where it fixed the distortion, but I still liked the light that was on the child's face here. Yeah, that looks awesome. And if you ever want to add back some of the color, you can always just bring up the vibrancy. So that's the thing with these, is you can just do little quick fixes. If you like the skin to pop just a bit more, just bring up the vibrancy a little bit. And that just looks Yeah, that just looks killer to me. Awesome photo, Aga. These next couple of photos, the last couple of photos here by... All right. This is a beautiful shot here. Backlit by the window. I'm just going to use the eyedropper tool to find a nice kind of gray. Probably going to cool it off a little bit. Yeah. I'll bring the tint back toward the green just a little bit, not too much. And I'm just going to bring up the exposure to where it doesn't blow things out completely. Looks good there. And now I'm just going to go through again. Not even going to go any further. That looks awesome. You gotta love it when the elements work out, right? Elements, elemental. Oh, been a long year, hasn't it? 2020. Okay. Anyway, that is I wouldn't do anything else with that. I would be sitting here all day and just making that sound effect because it just looks so dang good. I'll see what the other ones look like. Ooh, the tungsten looks nice with those cooler tones. That looks good too. Ah, this is hard. That's how good these are. I don't know. Now I kind of like the cooler. The tungsten. Yep, we're going to stick with that. Sticking with tungsten on this one. Man, it looks so good. Okay, let's do another one from Jose here. All right, and this one I'm just going to cool it off a little bit. And bring the tint more toward the green side, just a hair. That looks good. And I'll go through all of them here again. There we go. That looks like a good white balance. So here we've got cobalt. I would do no adjusting there. Same with zinc. I would do no adjusting. Love the lower contrast kind of flat look with that. So cadmium, you can see there's a bit more pink in the skin. It's an easy enough fix. I just bring the white balance more toward the green side. Yep, that looks awesome. Go back to where we were here. Copper, I would bring down the exposure just a bit, maybe the highlights. That looks good. Tungsten, I'm loving the tungsten. That tungsten just looks, yeah. The tungsten has my heart. And the aluminum. So here's aluminum. You can see there's not a ton going on with aluminum. It's a bit desaturated, very flat, kind of low to low medium contrast, which again is just, that's my preferred look. I like this. It looks very balanced. It doesn't look overdone. It's just a great looking preset. So if I were to deliver, if this was my client and I wanted to deliver this, I would go with the aluminum personally, because that's just what I'm into right now. Gold looks awesome. These black and whites look so good. Actually love this. The iridium with the kind of brown toning in there. See, for me, I would drop the contrast down for how I do things. And that would be where I would sit. That looks awesome to me. Looks very classic. Very nice. We'll do one more here by Jose before we wrap it up. This was shot, looks like it was shot around Blue Hour, which is always a beautiful time to shoot. And I'm actually not going to touch the white balance at all on this. You can see I brought up the exposure just to bring up the exposure. I'll do a lens correction on this to even up the corners there. You know, if I did auto white balance, it's going to warm it up quite a bit. When I shoot during blue hour, I love to keep the blueness in there personally. So I'm just going to run through these and see what plays well with the blue. I already know. Let's see. Ooh. I actually love the gold on this, actually. I could cool off the white balance a little bit if I wanted to. And I'm going to bring up the vibrance to bring back some of that blue. And for me, I'm just going to drop the contrast a little bit and bring down the highlights. And I may even do just a little brush on the face here, just to bring out her face a little bit more. Just making very simple adjustments using exposure, highlights, and shadows there. Yeah, I think that just looks absolutely awesome. I'll go down here to the skin tones and see where the saturation sits. May bring some of the red back in. Just a little bit. And I may put the vibrancy at 0. It's always a good starting point for these if the vibrancy is down. And then I would just drag it down to where I feel like I like that. So you can see I still wanted, this was the gold. So here's the standard gold. And I wanted to bring back in just a little bit of color and a little bit more blue. Very simply done using the vibrancy and using the white balance. Yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this little editing tutorial. Again, these are the elemental presets. Big thank you to Emily Carr, who sent us this photo here. Big thank you to Ore Adesina for sending this one in. Big thank you to Victoria Andrews for sending this photo in. And another thank you to Kayla Ruiz for this beautiful photo. Thank you to Aga Andrews. And thank you to Jose for these last edits that I did using his photos. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And until next time, see you then. Bye-bye.